Well, I just got this inquiry from a YouTube subscriber. She says, "Hi Jason, my Shopee store has been running for about a year now and it's not getting much traffic. Hence, the sales isn't moving. I thought of advertising on Facebook, but fear driving free traffic to Shopee. Should I advertise on Facebook? What are the pros and cons?" Brilliant question. Let's dive into that. Hi, this is Jason from TribeUp Academy. We specialize in helping businesses master Facebook advertising and digital marketing techniques to grow your business online. So, on our hand, we actually manage or coach a lot of e-commerce businesses, and they come from two angles. One part of them are purely marketplace sellers, which they only sell on Lazada, Shopee, etc. And the other group are those who sells only on their own e-commerce website. Both I have clients that makes hundreds of thousands or even millions every month from either his website or the e-commerce platform. However, today the topic would be if you sell only on marketplaces such as Shopee, Lazada. The challenge is if you don't drive traffic, you don't see much sales going on. However, when you start advertising to drive traffic to your Shopee store, for example, in this case that we are talking about, you will have the risk of driving free traffic to Shopee because people who see your ad and visit your store or your product not necessarily will buy from you. They may start seeing some other products because Shopee do feature all these similar product. You may also like this, all these kind of things that they may end up buying from somebody else. So today we're going to go through 3 considerations on why you should advertise your Shopee store using Facebook advertising and what are the pros and cons that involves. So let's actually get into that. So if you're considering to use Facebook advertising to drive traffic to your Shopee store, the first question that I have for you is, how do people find your business or your product? You see, there are fundamentally 2 types of businesses, whether you're a need-based business or you're a discovery-based business. In my terminology, need-based businesses are those products or businesses where essentially, I would definitely look for you when I'm looking for you, whereby the other group of products are purely discovery-based. Let me give you some example, yeah? A handphone is a need-based, okay? And a handphone casing could be discovery-based because I may go specifically onto a certain model when it comes to purchasing a handphone or a smartphone, whereby I may not necessarily have anything particular in preference in terms of choosing a casing. So these are 2 different categories. And when it comes to that, you probably want to dive deeper into how your businesses are being discovered by people, whereby if you are selling camera, like equipments and all these kind of thing, these are people with specific needs. And when I'm looking for something like that, I would usually go Google instead of Facebook. So if you are in that kind of business, consider maybe Google will be a better place for you to match the need because essentially you will get higher quality customers coming in. Whereby on the other hand, if you're something that, more like a casing category, Facebook works very well in terms of helping you to help people discover your product, as in, because fundamentally Facebook advertising to me is very similar to the old school advertising where it is about actively reaching out and push your information out. But the beauty of it is that you're able to pinpoint who are the people that you want to see your advertisement and they might be interested in your product or services. So there you go. The first question is, how people find you. If you are a discovery-based product where most people actually find you and they usually have this kind of like impulsive buying, then Facebook will be a very good place for you to find meaningful audience that might be interested in your product. However, if you're need-based, you should consider something else, such as whether you go for Google or you can even consider the keyword bidding inside Shopee or Lazada. I believe both has got this feature. Like recently, I've got a client that sells pillowcase. Okay, for pillowcase, it's actually very specific. You don't really need to use Facebook advertising. You may not be that effective. That's what I'm trying to say. However, if you go very specific, you bid those keywords in Shopee or Lazada, I think it works a lot better in terms of matching your product to the people that are looking for you. So that is the key point number 1, whereby are you a need-based business or you are actually a discovery-based business? So that's where you consider how you should play around with your advertising strategy and your advertising budget distribution from that angle. So now you have finally decided that you want to advertise on Facebook for your Shopee store. You really want to go there and drive the meaningful audience that might be interested in your product or services. Now, the next question that I have for you is, how unique are you? Now, there are a few angles because recently we do have businesses that actually onboard onto Shopee and they are in a very crowded and competitive environment. So the first question is whether do you have a lot of competitors inside Shopee or Lazada that you're actually selling? If you do, how do you stand out as a brand or as a seller? A few things that you can consider doing. Of course, you want to build your product listing or your store to actually build the trust factor inside. I mean, the behavior has been shifting and changing over the years when it comes to buying on marketplaces. Now, back then, everybody go for the price. Now, I would say most people, yes, price is still a very important factor. However, how trustworthy you seem can be a very important factor. So what we recently do with our client is that, okay, it's actually very simple way. If you're new, I mean, if you're new to Shopee and you want to advertise to bring people to your Shopee store, the first thing first that you can start doing to establish your so-called the trust factor is to build your Shopee listing as in from the design angle, from the copywriting angle and all that, to establish that kind of trust. Of course, if you're new, you won't be able to drive very important thing, which is how many sales you have got, how many ratings that you have got, because all these are numbers being shown transparently on your product listing. So the more product you have sold, in a way indicating that you're more reliable, and the more positive rating that you get is also indicating that you're more trustworthy. But if you're new, okay, then what you can do is you can always go and find your best competitors that you like them most. You try to mirror what they have done. We actually did that because when it comes to designing the best picture and all these kind of things, there are already a lot of success stories that you can actually borrow from, because the whole idea is we want to make sure that the moment we drive people to our store, we are able to our capability best establish the kind of trust factor to make sure that people will choose us. So it's really important for you to understand how do you establish the trust factor and how unique are you when they landed on the product after seeing your advertisement. These are all the angles that you want to consider. So the third question, if you really want to advertise your Shopee store on Facebook, to drive traffic from Facebook, Instagram and all that to your Shopee store, the third question would be, how do you qualify your audience? You see, in our methodology, it's very important to make sure that you're able to qualify your audience for two purposes. You want to make sure that those people who have seen your ad and click on your advertisement and taken certain action are being excluded from seeing that particular ad. Why? Because instead, you want to show them another ad. So this is actually kind of like separating our audiences into two tiers. The tier one is really to go for the cold audience. And the cold audience, usually we go for the introductory kind of advertisement. And then for those people who have interacted or taken action on the first advertisement, we will want to actually categorize them as our tier 2 audience, which is the warm audience. And we want to start showing them another advertisement that carries stronger call to action, stronger reason for them to take the action that we want them to take, and etc. So when you are driving advertisement to your Shopee store, it's a lot trickier compared to advertising for your own e-commerce store, because you don't have a pixel placed on your Shopee store. You are not able to capture those people who have visited your store, whether they have purchased or they have not purchased. You're not able to do a lot of categorization. So there are certain techniques that we can apply, even though you don't have a CPAS, which is a collaborative ad solution. CPAS gives you the ability to retarget people who visit your Shopee store but did not purchase. Or you can even target those people who visit your Shopee store and purchase to do upselling, cross-selling. It's really powerful. But that requires different kind of qualification in order for you to get that kind of solution. But at the get-go, if you're a new store, if you don't have all these solutions in place, you can actually use a certain technique to qualify your audience, but you must have that kind of mindset in place. You want to know how many people have taken certain action. How do you qualify them? Whether it's using a video view, instant experience view, clicking the advertisement and all that. And when you qualify them, you want to actually build another journey, which is to retarget them for the better action, because in most of our cases, especially when it comes to e-commerce, most of the transaction happen at the second visit, because that's like that. When you see an advertisement, first time you don't really interact. Second time, third time, when you get more familiarized with the product or the advertisement itself, you start deciding whether I want to click on it or not. But after clicking, that is the key, because almost nobody will buy from you the first time they visit your website or visit your Shopee product page. So it's really important for you to have another ad to retarget them, to tell them more about your product, or to give them more reason to take the action that you want. That sums up to all these three questions that you want to ask yourself if you want to consider advertising on Facebook for your Shopee or Lazada store. So this is one part of the Start Selling Online series that we are doing to help businesses like you to start selling online, whether you're on Shopee or Lazada, which is the marketplaces, or your own website. So consider hitting the subscribe button, because we have a series of videos coming up to talk more about start selling online for the local aspect or the regional aspect. So more videos is coming up. You should be able to see it somewhere, and click on the video and see all the videos that we have discussed, all the topics that you want to know about start selling online. I'll see you in the next video.